All right, welcome to my student presentation number 3. My name is Jacob Goodrich. Let's get started. So, all right. So to get started, let's define supply and demand. Demand refers to how much quantity of a product or service is desired by buyers. The quantity demanded is the amount of product people are willing to buy at a certain price. The relationship between price and quantity demanded is known as the supply and demand relationship. Supply represents how much the market can offer. All right, with that said, let's jump in. So, starting off with Christoph's ice business. What is the normal supply and demand curve of the story? The normal supply and demand curve in their situation was they had a this is supply. This is our supply line, and this is our demand line. Okay, so we'll just say that supply, demand. So the normal supply and demand curve in this story is they had a high demand because they, wanted ice a lot. People wanted ice a lot, and they had a decent amount of ice. I mean, it didn't ever talk about a shortage in ice, but there wasn't excess. So they had maybe they had an equilibrium where the supply and the demand find the center point where they're both worthwhile. So what events shifted this curve? When Elsa froze the world, okay, everything became frozen and icy. This shifted, and sorry, I'm just thinking about this as I go through. So this shifted the supply at first. So the first thing shifted was the supply, because all of a sudden we have tons of ice, okay? So our supply just went spiked way over there to the right, okay? And then because of that, I think the demand also shifts down, okay? So supply shifted up, demand shifted down, and that's because there was so much now, people didn't want it so much. For one, it's already cold, like everything's already cold and frozen. And for two, if they did want it, they just have to open their front door and scoop it up, They didn't have to have people haul it in. So that was the result on price. So I said the normal amount, or the normal supply demand curve, that's what shifted the curve. Demand was shifted, and then the effect on price was that it came down as demand rose, or that the price came down, or demand came down as the supply rose. So we'll move to the next situation, trade between Arundel and Wesselton. So the normal supply and demand curve in this story, so they were, trying to remember, it's been a while since I've seen Frozen, but they were trading, okay? So we had maybe an equilibrium again, but quantity, supply, and then demand. Events that shifted the curve: Queen Elsa. Or actually, never mind. I'm gonna go back. Okay, so kind of maybe before this, but so trade with Arundel and Wesselton was going on. Okay, but then Elsa cut it off, or it got cut off, kind of with the king and queen's death. So that was the normal supply and demand was maybe an equilibrium of the supply and the demand. And then what events shifted the curve is when the king and queen died, and that shifted the I don't know if you could say it shifted the supply or demand, because we'll say it shifted the demand. So it shifted the demand down, which increased the supply. Okay, so demand came down and the supply increased. All right, now we'll move to the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. They're gems, they're mining. So what is the normal supply and demand curve of this story? They had a bunch of gems, and they were pretty, good about not bringing tons out, but they had a lot of gems, so high quantity, but they also had a high price. And this, you have to be careful with this, because they had a high quantity of gems, they had a high supply of gems, but they did not release them all into the market at once. Okay, so if you're talking about only the gems that put into market, there was a low quantity, since they only put a little bit in at a time, and because of this, this kept the price or the demand high. If they flooded the market, then the price or the demand might stay high for just a little bit, but then it would crash. Okay, so that's the effect on the price. And initially, I would say, well, I don't think there was in the movie, in the story, I don't think there was a shift in it. But in case I'm wrong, I'll just say if something shifted it, okay, if we all of a sudden get excess, so if they start mining more or they release more into the market than normal, then price will crash. Okay, if they release less into the market, price will rise. All right, so that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.